home of March Madness, the Masters, the PGA Championship, PGA Tour, SEC football, the NFL, and February 3rd, Super Bowl 53.
It's a warm Saturday afternoon and we're in the Big Easy, home to the world-famous Bourbon Street. The best action won't be there today, it's right here, and it's Major League Rugby. We're at Shaw Stadium, home to the NOLA Gold for the final game of Week 8. It's New Orleans taking on San Diego live on CBS Sports. A very good afternoon. Welcome to New Orleans. Dan Powell with you alongside Brian Hightower. And Brian, both these sides on the outside looking in at the moment in regards to the playoffs. Does the winner here today reignite their dreams of getting to the championship series?
Well, absolutely. 4 playoff spots up for grabs. 2 of them already locked up by Glendale and Seattle. So the game today before us, very much in contention for those last 2 spots, and we're going to see who wants to claim one today.
Well, you talk about contention, very tight between those last 4 sides. As we take a look at the standings, any of them can still make it.
And you see the teams today, NOLA at 5 and 6 at San Diego, and either one of them, if they win, they could leapfrog into those top 4 spots. So a lot to play for today.
For more insight on the home team, the third member of our side, Stacey Pates, is with their fly half, JP Eloff.
Last week was the first week back for JP Eloff. He was suffering from chemical meningitis. I'm very happy to report that he defeated that. We'll talk about that more in the show later. But we have JP with us right now, and you can't fabricate the feeling of having your back against the wall. So what must you guys do well to get the win today?
Hey, thanks for having me. Now, obviously, it's a big game for us. It's a must-win here. So all we did this week is concentrate on us. I know sometimes you got to look at the opponents, but this week it was about us. It's definitely about us stepping up as a team, as a unit, as a brotherhood, and coming out and playing the rugby that we know we can play and putting some points on these guys.
And we're excited to see what happens during this match today. Now, he's only as good as the quality of the ball he gets. It's going to be the front line of NOLA to get things going.
Table set perfectly at home today for NOLA Gold. They got to have a big match from their front row. Ben Tarr at tight head prop. He'll be partnered with Bidens, the big man, Hubert Bidens. He's got 43 caps for Canada. They all will count today. And then the hometown favorite, Cameron Falcon from right here, Archbishop High School, and he went on to LSU. He'll need a big game as well. And the rest of the lineup, Dan, look for some big push from the lock pairing of Sullivan and Bursick, and then experience in the form of number 10, JP Eloff and Taylor Howden. They'll need it because there's some formidable opposition on that San Diego lineup as well.
Well, there certainly is, Brian. Normally, I just look at a single player, but I just cannot split these two. I'm talking about fly half Tiger Leader and outside centre Ryan Mattias. If that combination clicks here today for the Legion, well, the scoreboard operator could get very, very tired. But as everyone always knows, Brian, you can't go forward unless you get go forward ball. It's going to come up front. Pifoletti and Blair and Sylvia, he gets to start today, and a lot of changes in this lineup. They have some experience, though. Look for Blair at hooker. I mentioned him. Boyer at 9 as well, and of course the ageless Taku Nguenya on the wing in the 14 jersey will lead the side today. Anticipation continues to build here. Will NOLA Gold find their glitter, or will San Diego spoil the party? We'll find out as the first half kicks off after this.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Tullamore Dew, the original triple blend Irish whiskey, and by
so that we're not just standing there looking funny.
Okay. And when is it?
But we got a...
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Tullamore Dew, the original triple blend Irish whiskey. And by X-Blades, official technical kit supplier of Major League Rugby.
Welcome back to Shaw Stadium as Week 8 concludes. It'll be New Orleans kicking off on the right of your screen. They'll be wearing their home strip of the gold and white as our head referee, Paul-Henri Corbière. He will be assisted by Luke Rogan and Haley Slaughter as the assistants on the sideline. San Diego to receive in the white, and Brian, in the landscape of 2018 Major League Rugby season, it doesn't get any bigger than for these two sides.
Yeah, and you throw the term must win around a lot, Dan, but today truly is a situation for both of these teams. If they want to advance into that Final Four to the championship, they have to win today.
It'll be the right boot of Taylor Howden that gets us underway here. The San Diego Legion field the ball inside their own 22 to start things off. A lot will rest on the shoulders of that man right there, Tig leader.
Don't move. Number 6 wide. 6 wide.
The Irish native has called the US home for quite some time now. There's New Orleans. Begin the counterattack. Caught on their own 40. Youngett to his left. Picks up Houston. One of many great number 7s in Major League Rugby. You look through the league, Brian, you've got Hunko Hermeses at Austin, Vili Dolidahu out in Seattle, and Matt Houston here. Add that to the ageless Peter Dahl and John Quill, who share the duties in Glendale. It's a very strong position.
It is indeed. You know, first kick we saw from Tig Leader, and he put Cameron Troxler under some pressure, and I expect that'll be a pattern today that we'll see.
No Michael Basker back there for New Orleans today. Troxler gets the start. There's Youngett. Puts that one up high into the wind. Eloff comes through. Great take there from Kearns at fullback. We'll talk about Connor Kearns quite extensively. An impressive young man as he gets his first taste of Major League Rugby action. Currently studying over in Oxford, playing rugby with the Blues. As leader, precision there with his right boot. Just shy of the 22, and it'll be a line out for the New Orleans, but the territory battle early on favoring the Legion.
And again, second time we've seen off the boot of Tig Leader, and he's going to put Troxler under some pressure today. The youngster from LSU, local product, but doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And so I expect that they'll try to put him under the gun.
Eloff carries into contact outside his own 22. Slow ball. Touch for the local lad and Falcon. Now Youngett. Oh, a little bit of a miscommunication there. Howden was in the pocket looking for the ball. And now this handling error opens the door for San Diego off the back of two great kicks from Leader in a position to put on some pressure here.
Indeed, and a crucial mistake made by NOLA. And we'll see some questions around the pack, especially the front row of the San Diego Legion team, Dan. And as mentioned in the open, it would seem, on paper at least, that NOLA would have the ascendancy in the scrum. We'll see if San Diego can hold them here.
Well, Brian, you touched on it in the open. The front row is just such an important part of the game of rugby. And we get our first look, and there you see the push from New Orleans, dominant early on. And they earn the penalty from Corbière.
On my side, you go down.
And you can see how big that is too for the front row. It's almost a game within the game, that front row battle.
It is. It's psychological warfare, as it were. And that time, it is NOLA that ends up on the punishing end. I tell you what, some impressive stuff there from Cam Falcon at hooker, and then Tar and Bidens. You know, that psychology of not only winning your own ball, but winning somebody else's ball. You know, that's going to get into the heads of the front row of this Legion team.
Good turn kick from Howden. Spilt forward from NOLA though. That's turned over. Legion here, just on the New Orleans side of halfway as Leader steps into 9. That's Boyer. My apologies. University of California. Went out to Glendale for a period of time. Now playing for the Legion. And another great kick there off the boot of Leader. He is finding his rhythm early on here, the fly half.
Well, in the territory game, really, and you can tell that's the strategy of this Legion team, is to just get the ball deep into NOLA territory and play from there. Second time we've seen a kick drift across the 22-meter line from the boot of Tag Leader.
And you talk about nerves in the game. Falcon, like you said, went to school here, very familiar. Also a product of LSU. Finds his target with the second throw. That will help alleviate some of those nerves. There's now Youngert. He makes a break right down the middle. Youngert, the footwork around Evans. Now he links up on the outside. They've got the speed to finish as Malpin. Malpin gets away from his opposite. The St. Mary's product brings it around for the opening try. And just like that, New Orleans, they take it the length of the field.
Great try by Tim Maupin, and it's really a St. Mary's to St. Mary's connection. The break from Holden Youngert, but it's the defense. Nick Boyer comes up way too hard out of the line here. You see that number 9, and he gives the lane to Youngert, who shakes off a pretty horrible tackle. And then Maupin just out on the wing, just enough gas to get the corner and go under the sticks. It's a really good open for NOLA Gold.
That's a great winger's try there. Great finish from Maupin. Conversion from Eloff right through the middle. An early 7-0 lead here for New Orleans.
And sometimes, Dan, a try is created not just by the brilliance of the attack, but when a mistake is made on defense. And that time it was Nick Boyer who came out of the line a little bit up too quickly in defense. Take a look here. Keep your eyes on number 9 in the white jersey there. And watch the lane he creates right there. And the defense doesn't come across enough for San Diego. Good finish there. That's what you got to do. You're wearing the number 14 jersey. Your job is to finish those tries. Maupin almost dragged down by his shirt, but makes it to the line.
And you talked about those changes, numerous changes to San Diego. Taking them a while to sink. Saliba goes forward there with Broussard now, Leader with a run.
No hands now, don't move.
Boyer steps into fly half. Gaffney.
Use it.
Leader slow at the back. Comes wide, picks up to Rory. Again, continues to push to his left. Leader. Now Kearns. Oh, what an impact for Connor Kearns early on. Back to Evans. Can he return the favour? Nick Evans, no. Brought down inside the 22. Ball goes back to the tight 5 as they go forward. Boyer. Thought he spotted a half gap. Feeds the ball out to the right-hand side now. Boyer. Leader. Saliba, quick hands. Nguenya under pressure though. Good defense there.
Yes.
From Tikasuva. Boyer again, just a little double pump there. I'm sure his forwards are going to appreciate that, Brian, if he continues to hold that ball up. Little chip. Needs a chase. Ball sits up. Oh, good work from Bursic. Under pressure, spills it. And we have time out here. Well, this could be close, Brian. First appearance, it looked as though Bursic grounds the ball in goal, but referee Corbière, he's going to ask the question.
Well, it looked like miscommunication on the chip over the top by Tag Leader.
No try, I'll go back to the penalty kick.
So the long penalty, and perhaps that's why it went off the foot of Leader, is because penalty advantage being played to San Diego, so he could take his chances. Almost a try, though, as it looked like Bursic couldn't actually track the ball down in goal.
Offside yellow.
They're here, offside against New Orleans, in front of the last man's feet at the breakdown. No thought of 3 points off the boot of Leader as he threads the needle to the corner.
I go on 15. I let you the 5. We'll have a line out. Mark is the line, guys. San Diego. Yeah. On the line out. How many?
Of course, Cam Dolan away with the USA Eagles, their favorite target in the lineup. Be interesting to see who tries to fill the shoes of Dolan here this afternoon. First throw on point for Blair.
Stay.
Target there was Terori, and he's come in wearing the number 5, normally a flanker, but he's going to play lock today.
Well, they're very close here. Now they're over the line. And there's the try. San Diego, they strike right back. And it looks like the hooker and Pat Blair who gets the reward.
Indeed, it is Blair. And the first points we saw in the pack went to NOLA after taking that scrum, but round 2 has to go to San Diego. They'll be happy to have driven that ball over the line, and that's a statement as well that their forwards came to play. And watch Pat Blair, number 2. He'll find the ball at the back of the maul, and everyone connected there and allowed to drive forward. So Blair basically getting on the train, driving over the line. Taku Nguyen comes in. The experience of number 14 just to drive Pat Blair over that line. Gotta love seeing the wingers getting involved in the big man's game as well.
There is your try scorer, Pat Blair. Was in and around the 7 squad with Mike Friday for a long period of time. And when he was named at hooker early in the season, a few eyebrows were raised, but he continues to evolve and grow in that role. Brian?
Well, in the modern hooker, Dan, we've seen this over and over again. You take a flanker and maybe put a couple pounds on him, and then you put him in the front row, because nowadays the hookers' bodies have changed so that they're a lot more rangy. They can cover more ground.
Leader to tie things up. Stays away to the right-hand side. Score remains 7 points to 5. 10 minutes gone here in the first half. San Diego and New Orleans battling it out. The winner potentially leapfrogs into the top 4. New Orleans definitely does. If they win, they will go 1 point ahead of Utah. San Diego need a bonus point to leap Utah or a better points differential. So many layers to this. Brian, just makes for fascinating viewing.
And so far, really just locked up. The difference being the conversion right now.
Yes, yes.
You wonder if the heat will be a factor later on as well. It's pretty humid out there. Kind of saps the energy right out of you.
This time it's off the boot of Boyer, fielded by his opposite number in Youngett. They're inside the San Diego half though. Falcon with another touch.
Away! Don't move! No!
Back they come. Howden finds Elof. Elof dances back in towards the ruck. He's brought down directly on the halfway line.
Well, looks like maybe a counter ruck by San Diego. Indeed, it was a good one.
Team who progressed was the white team. For the white. Sorry?
That's a big turnover for the Legion as well.
It was good. Just progress.
I mean, as far as representative duties concerned, they got affected the most in all of Major League Rugby. And they're probably in the position that could least afford to lose players, as they're still chasing to get into that top 4.
A lot of interesting permutations because of the international window this June. And as you mentioned, San Diego hurt by a lot of call-ups. You're seeing players that you normally wouldn't, especially in the reserves, some young players coming through, lots of collegiate players in the ranks of this San Diego team.
Another big scrum for New Orleans. San Diego do extremely well to get it out. Now stolen by Falcon. And the crowd, understandably, very appreciative of Cam Falcon's effort there. Now Howden wide, scheming. Turns it back in, second phase play. Biden's linking up out wide.
Advantage white.
As he spills that one forward, advantage to San Diego.
Advantage
as Boyer looks to find open pastures.
Oh, beautiful kick by Boyer, backs up Elof, and then rolls kindly into touch. And that kick gains about 70 meters of ground.
You can't understate the influence of a good kicking game. Let's go down to Stacey Pates with more on the international flavour that is Major League Rugby.
I wanted to address those at home that may not understand what this really looks like. If you imagine the NBA season, the All-Star game, which is a week where players get time off or the All-Stars get called up, this is like that, except there's no time off. So if you could imagine all-star players in the NBA getting called to another higher league, higher ranking rather, then that's kind of the way that you can analogize, if you will, and recognize the difference of just how important it is, how much these guys are going to be missed during this time away.
Very true, Stacey. It's tough to explain in the American sports landscape because there's not too much similar. The Olympics would probably be the big one for me, Brian, when Team USA, the Olympics fall during the middle of the season, and players would be called away to go to the Olympics. Very similar. You're representing your country. It's the highest honor you can achieve in rugby.
One of the things that it does, though, and what I like about it, is that your best players leave the team, and then you have to fill those gaps somehow. So you got to have players step up, and it gives people a chance to shine who may not necessarily earn a roster spot with the addition of those star players. So when they step up, it's good for the coaches. It's also good for the players.
It certainly is. Many a superstar has been unearthed during the international windows. I expect to see the same thing with Major League Rugby. Advantage coming for New Orleans for the knock on there against San Diego. Eloff jinking his way upfield. We spoke to JP before the game. He's still finding his fitness, he says, as he comes back from that bizarre, I don't really call it an injury or an illness, but just misfortune for Eloff. There's another turnover this way for the Legion. There's Blair, already one try to his name. Can he bag himself a second here? Boyer quickly comes across.
Away, yellow, line.
Boyer again has leader playing flat. They go at the back, Kearns. He's had a good impact, Kearns. All his touches very positive thus far, Brian.
Yeah, gets his hands through as well, and then he tries to connect with Derek Broussard wearing the number 7 jersey. And well, Kearns has done everything that he can there to get the ball into Broussard's hands, and then the knock-on comes. I like the way that San Diego is playing. Very expansive. They're very well connected, and great support coming.
Time off, guys. I have an injury.
He's been a fantastic pickup. We talked to how he found his way to San Diego. It was really innocuous, just an old teammate of Rob Holdley's, played at Wasp with one of his coaches at Oxford. As you see, Kearns in the 15 gets through there, pass doesn't go to hand. If it does, troubling signs there for NOLA out wide. But Connor Kearns, what a great story.
Indeed, wearing the number 15 for San Diego. And American qualified, born in San Francisco before going back over to the UK and playing rugby at Trinity. And then to Oxford, where was cardiology, and
he's in
cardiological pharmacology.
Pharmacology.
There you go.
Yes, say that 4 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. You know, those Oxford guys are a little slow.
They are. Yeah. Not like those Cambridge guys. Look, what have we started here?
Well, in Oxford, he got to captain that side last year. What an honor for Connor Kearns to be the captain of the varsity match, the annual duel between Oxford and Cambridge, and he still was smarting about the result of that. You could tell his lip kind of curled down a little bit when he remembered that they lost to Cambridge last year during his captaincy, but what an honor nonetheless.
As you see there, a forced change for San Diego. Alec Barton comes on in the 20. Nick Grass, he is done for the day. Looks like he's picked up a knock. As New Orleans will have this scrum on their own 22. Just inside, actually, so they can kick this ball out in the full. Boyer there. Try to kick that ball out of Youngett's hands. As Houston steps in. They shift wide, numbers. Oh, great shot coming in the wing there from Nguenya.
No heads.
That's just experience. Nguenya sees it developing in the outside center, turning his head inside. Never saw him coming. A great tackle.
White.
Still with New Orleans. Inside their 22, 4 phases, haven't got out of the 22 yet. It's only a matter of time before they go to the boot. There's Hayden.
No, wait.
Howden, he drives this up just short of the 40-meter line. That's a small victory there, in my opinion, for San Diego.
Really content to play rugby inside the NOLA half, and so far the story of the game in the first 17 minutes, Dan, is really almost all of the rugby, except for that long breakaway try by NOLA, has been played on that side of the field.
Come on the line out.
And that's all they've needed to hold on to a 2-point lead here after 17.5 minutes. The territory game strongly favoring the San Diego Legion as they take that line out as well with Terori. Now Boyer, leader standing to his right, picks up Gaffney.
No hands, Ted. No hands.
Now Boyer again to leader, dummy. Defense forces him back inside. Matt Houston finishes his run, Sullivan as well.
Advantage. Offside.
Now, ball back inside. Boyer links up, beats one tackle. Boyer can't get away from the fullback in Troxler. Still going with Blair. There's the Legion knocking on the door yet again. Just 2 meters from the line. Ball spills back. Boyer can't handle. No advantage. Will come all the way back. We weren't sure what we're going to get from this relatively young, inexperienced Legion side. So far, they're looking pretty polished, Brian.
Well, what I like about them is the expansive rugby they're playing. They're not slowing down. They're kicking into touch instead of going for points. And there's Boyer, just kind of missteps there and falls down instead of being able to step back inside of Cam Falcon.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it, experience? You want to have it in the game, but sometimes it's a bad thing if you've got bad experience. You know, bad memories, you know, nerves get in there. Sometimes these young players, the fact that they're not experienced, they don't really know what they're getting themselves in for. They play with that reckless abandon. And right now, San Diego are doing just that, not electing to take the 3 points. They want that bonus point for 4 tries.
Yeah, and you got to like the way they're playing. And I think that's the mission today, is not only win, but win with 4 tries to get that bonus point.
No. Time to play.
Line-out's good. Again, the target appears to be Terori. They've scored off the maul once.
He's good.
Not surprisingly, going back to that same recipe.
No head. Fight.
Blair. No love this time for the hooker. Now, Boyer. Big don't argue to the face.
Use it.
Gaffney. Happy to play this tight. Another penalty this time right in front of the post.
No, you are assistant tackler, and that's the same rule.
And now this is a big decision here. You take the tap.
No, after the penalty kick.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to tap it and go. Oh, you can hear tag leader change the mind. Everybody ready to go, but sometimes you take the points, and this will propel them into the lead if that kick is successful. So, yeah, I mean, I always like to keep the foot on the gas, Dan, but, you know, sometimes you got to be smart as well, and I think that's what leader, that experience that he brings. Don't worry, boys, we'll have another chance down here. Let's take the 3.
You could hear referee Corbier even trying to convince him. Tap,
yeah, right.
Kick, tap, right.
You sure you want to kick it?
Yeah, kick for points. Yeah, leader, he's kicking great out of hand as well in the opening 20 minutes here. This will give them their first lead of the game. And it's right through the middle. And that takes a score, 8 points to 7, a 1-point lead. We'll take a short break. When we return, all the action in the first half continues. It's the Legion in front by 1 over New Orleans.
This past Wednesday, NOLA Gold was invited to the New Orleans Marine Base and got to share and hear the stories of fellow Marines. Thank you all for your service. Again, today's game is the honorary match for our community's military and their families. We thank you for your dedication and service to our country. Families and kids, don't forget to head on over to the Louisiana Youth Rugby Tent toward the front of the gate.
We are back at Shaw Stadium on the outskirts of New Orleans, Louisiana. 20 minutes in the books here in the first half. 8 points to 7. San Diego in the lead over New Orleans. And Brian, the opening 20 minutes, it's really just been a territory domination from the San Diego side.
Yeah, and the approach and the game plan, you can tell we've talked about tag leader and his foot, and there's a little bit of tailwind at his back, and so that's going to propel the ball a little bit further downfield. But you wonder if NOLA's going to start maybe taking a chapter from San Diego's book and start to hoof the ball back and maybe play territory as well. It seems to be paying off for San Diego.
Well, the penalty kick from Leader successful, gives them the lead. 8 points to 7. Howden with the restart here for New Orleans. It is a warm day down here, 89 degrees, 55% humidity. Hydration breaks a necessity at this time of the year in the South in the US. There's Gaffney making the most of a rare start in the 8 jersey is Gaffney. Ball goes behind Pifoletti. Still with the Legion though on their own 40-meter line. Up goes a high kick. Just out kicks his chase slightly there, Boyer. There's now Troxler. You've already mentioned a few times, Brian, he will be targeted heavily today by this very, very accurate San Diego kicking unit.
You can see right when the ball leaves the foot of tag leader. I love watching Taku Nguyen chase because he measures it so quickly. He watches the ball in the air. If he has a chance to play it, you can see him accelerate. If not, he'll just lay back and just casually play defense. Just an old wizened head out there wearing the 14 jersey.
Yeah, he rocketed onto your screens at the World Cup in 2007 as he usurped the world's fastest rugby player, Brian Habana, and took the throne for himself as Kearns, his day continues to shine, picks up Mattias on the outside. We know he's got the jet shoes, Mattias, and he says to NOLA Gold and Gary Gold, hey, don't forget about me.
Well, Gary Gold, the head coach of the United States, as you mentioned, sent Ryan Mattias home to play with San Diego, which much to their benefit, I'm sure they're glad to have him, but I think that was a way of signaling that he's got plenty of juice out on that wing. Dangerous customer, Mattias. And when you talk about playing the kicking game, if you're going to try to match what San Diego's done, you have to also make sure you do the kick chase part as well. They didn't do it there. Lots of options for Kearns, and Kearns so smart with ball in hand, finds a streaking Mattias. Great line, great try. NOLA in trouble.
Well, don't be surprised if Rob Hoadley makes a phone call to the Oxford Cardiology Laboratory and says, any chance you've got anyone else in there that can play? What a pickup Connor Kearns has been here for San Diego. As leader has this conversion from out on the far touchline on his preferred side for a right-footed kicker. 6'2", 207 from Galway and Ireland.
Yeah, you could almost see it as soon as the ball was caught. A sea of white surrounding Kearns. Lots of options.
What a strike from leader. No mistake as it splits the uprights. Another 2 points on the board. It's 15 points to 7. San Diego now, they've controlled the territory. They're turning that territory into points.
And it seems the ball coming off the boot of Taylor Howden as well. And you wonder if JP Eloff, how he's feeling out there. I mean, we talked to him before the game about whether he could last 80 minutes or not, Dan. And, he, you know, just recovering from chemical meningitis, 3 weeks on his back, trying to get over that illness.
Ball comes down to the try scorer, Mattias. He is like the Energizer Bunny on Red Bull, the way he runs, high energy. There's leader again. Oh, Troxler, he lets it bounce. Trouble coming in Evans. And that is just going to be a red rag to a bull.
It's not the clock.
Leader will pepper that back three all day now with these early results. The handling error, though, from the Legion lets them down, but there is worrying signs for that New Orleans back three.
Yeah, indeed. And we talked about Troxler and his inexperience there.
Yes.
Great kick by tag leader.
Let's go down to Stacey Pates, who has some more information on the New Orleans fly half, JP Eloff.
I wanted to add to what Brian was saying in terms of how he feels when he's out here. I spoke to him earlier, and I asked him that exactly. How do you mentally come back from being off the pitch for so long? And he said that was the biggest piece. Felt like he'd never been so unfit in his life. He was restricted to laying down, restricted to slow walking, no jogging, but he actually attributed his quick healing to all the support that he got. I mean, he's got so many wonderful people around him who loved him through it and helped him through it. But yeah, he says he's still getting his legs back because he wants his body to do so much, but his body's just not caught up with his mind quite yet.
It's one thing to get an injury, ACL, AC joint, shoulder. He almost died. I mean, that doesn't get any more serious than that. They rushed him to hospital. It was very touch and go there for about, I think he said about 30 hours, right? They weren't too sure what was going on. And that was just a little over a month ago, and he's back out here playing. And they say rugby players are tough, but that's just the epitome of toughness right there. JP Eloff as Nguyen. He slices through, picks up Mattias, looking for a second try as well, the outside centre. Blair also has a try to his name already this afternoon. Another advantage. Leader, dummy, steps. Jinking, back on the inside. Boyer can't get away from the fullback and Troxler. As they spill forward, will come back for the penalty, you would think. Corbière agrees. And now another decision. 2 tries on the board. A penalty as well. What do you do here, Brian?
Well, you got to score 4 tries if you're San Diego. I think you pump it into the corner. You guarantee that bonus point with 2 more tries.
You have to be careful about that. Yeah? No, it's an offside. Clear serve. No.
Lots of discussion there with Corbière. Another penalty, though, goes to San Diego. And Dan, you really got to love the way that San Diego's playing adventurous stuff. They're breaking tackles. They're offloading in the tackle. Ryan Mattias is running rampant through those gold jerseys. And a lot, to me, a lot of it is about not just missed tackles, but how NOLA is tackling San Diego. They're not dominating them in the tackle area. They're allowing their arms to be freed up to play that offload game, and it's a dangerous game to play with backs running the way these Legion backs are.
Blair, throw goes over the top. Now towed through. Nguyen, he wills that ball over the sideline. He gets his wish. And just like that, they lose 40 meters, the Legion. It'll be a throw. Still with San Diego, though. Right back near the halfway line. Brian, coming into today, we talked about the inexperienced Legion side. I really felt that NOLA had to start well. They did that with that try. But just to get those heads down, those shoulders slumped to the young players. They don't have, got the experience in the Nguyen on the wing, but he's not a real talker. They've lost their big communicators. To get them back, as Gaffney goes for a run up to halfway, but it's the Legion who have come out firing.
Well, we talked about how NOLA would have ascendancy in the scrum, and if they're going to go to the scrum, then you got to have more scrums if you're NOLA. And so far, San Diego not making that many mistakes and keeping the ball out of the scrum.
Because there you see another defensive lapse from New Orleans. You talked about that. Missing their tackles and then just not realigning their defensive structure quick enough. They get let off the hook with a handling error at the breakdown from San Diego. They'll have this scrum in their 22. But body language tells me that they are struggling out there at the moment.
Well, and they'll win the scrum, but they're inside their 22, and most likely scenario is this ball gets kicked back into touch to get them out of their own half.
It'll be a tight angle too. Don't be surprised if you see Joseph off the back here.
Last time. Crutch! Bind.
There's Holden Youngett. Also St. Mary's product. What a successful collegiate career he had with Tim O'Brien and the team up there at beautiful Moraga in California. Now they've got to line up, and great ball, beautiful ball. They go right through the middle now with the outside centre, and Tongawea, they tow it through, Malpin on the chase. They get back there, first with Mattias. Can't get away from the defence though of Troxler. No fullback now for New Orleans. There's Saliba under pressure, Nguyen goes back to leader.
No, stay on.
Won't find the line, instead finds Taylor Howden waiting back on his own 40. Now Howden on the counter-attack. Oh, bumps off leader. That's a new wrinkle to the game Taylor Howden hasn't shown in years past. The fancy footwork has been his key through the line. Now just using brute old man strength. There's New Orleans, now wide. Falcon, Troxler, slots in on the wing. Well handled though by Tig leader. Houston. San Diego player, slow to his feet.
That's on the push, guys. That's on the push.
And that play on, there's a knock on through the legs.
Advantage.
Well, Harlem Globetrotter stuff there, now spilt forward.
First knock on, second knock on. Back to the first.
And that's helter-skelter stuff there from both these sides. How about that break though? This is the back end of it here, Brian.
Yeah, NOLA hasn't had that many chances, and that's a horrible pass. If that goes to the hand of Tim Maupin, he gets his second try. Instead, it goes to ground, and Mattias is trailing.
And another injury here.
Okay. Hi guys. Time on.
We have time back on here.
Mark is here.
Big scrum coming up as the fans in New Orleans have come out today. Last home game for New Orleans for 2018, on the road next week out in Salt Lake City, Utah.
We go, guys. No worry. Crutch. Bind.
It'll be Youngett with the put in.
Set.
Split back line with Elof directly behind the scrum in the pocket.
Bind, number 6, bind.
They continue to push forward. Joseph controlling at the back. They come to Elof. Lets one go. Tikasuva unders line, does well, breaks the tackle of Saliba before he's brought down outside the 22. It's New Orleans on the attack, first with Bidens.
Side. The free ball.
The big Canadian international, he rumbles his way up.
Offside.
Now Falcon gets another touch. His brother Brennan also in the starting lineup here for New Orleans today. Little grubber through, no advantage, will come all the way back for the penalty.
Well, a smart play by Holden Youngert, and again taking advantage of the penalty, but
offside white.
We see Youngert down the blind side. On Youngert as he kicks the ball through. A little bit of attention there from Alec Barton. Penalty for offside though. We come all the way back. Well within the range of Elof. And wouldn't be surprised this close to half-time if they elect to take the 3.
And that's exactly what they're going to do, Dan. And I think smartly so. It's been very difficult for them to get inside the Legion 22. They got to take points when they can and hope to make some adjustments during halftime. This 3 points, if successful off the boot of Elof, will put them back within 5 points. And you'd think with the amount of ball that San Diego has had in the NOLA half that they'd be leading by more than they are right now. NOLA will take some solace from only being down by a try at this point.
It's a big kick from the man from Pretoria in South Africa. Flags, they go in the air. It is successful, another 3 points.
About 2 feet over that crossbar as well. And we mentioned that the wind is blowing in just a little bit in the face of Elof during that kick. No need to waste any energy getting that ball any higher. All it's got to do is cross the crossbar.
Having flashbacks to playing against the Fijians, who only run fast enough so you can't catch them. They give you hope for 80 meters, and then right at the end they just pull away.
Back, White, please. Thanks.
Leader, he'll have the restart here for the Legion. They would love to get some ascendancy back going into the halftime break if they can. Malpin strong in the air though. Taken outside his own 22 as Youngit goes across field.
Line. No.
Now Elof, the dummy, opens up. Elof, now there's an opportunity as they have numbers. I'm not sure if his outside support knew he still had the ball there. They may have thought he'd kicked that one through it.
Well, and that was shades of the Elof of old, the healthy Elof. The dummy and go, and he splits the defense and then looks for support. It didn't look like anyone else was going with him.
No, the pass seemed to go across the face of two of his players. No one really made an effort to get to it.
Guys, on your player. Back, please. Back a little bit. Back.
And now the Legion. I just talked about them wanting to gain the ascendancy going into the halftime break. This is their opportunity. This line out inside the 22 off New Orleans. Over the back though. Blair not finding his target. Elof this time will kick. As it goes over the head of Evans. Evans does well to catch that one over the shoulder. Down to Kearns. Every time he's touched it, it's been magic. He goes high this time. Chase comes through. Elof, no pressure. Can't get away from Kearns. Tikasuva. He goes wide. As that pass is lofted over from Falcon. Now there's an opportunity out wide here for New Orleans. It's there up over the halfway line here into San Diego territory. Sullivan.
Yeah, play on. You release the ball.
Charging run there from Sullivan in the 5 jersey. Biden's looking for some support on the outside. Troxler, he was a little late to the party.
Away, 2. Line.
Now Howden steps into fly half. Out the back to Joseph.
Efficient support.
Those two have played a lot of 7-a-side rugby together. Howden and Joseph linking up here now for New Orleans. There's Youngit. Elof.
Don't move. No, yellow one.
You can see he was looking for that open space in the 22. Leader though, he read it and he takes the mark inside his 22.
Elof didn't get enough foot on that ball and he was trying to paint the corner. Trying to get it towards that touch line, but just didn't get enough power on that ball.
It's a mark.
Well, they take the tap there. There's a little bit of confusion. It looked like New Orleans thought it was a 22-meter restart. They were spread out all over the field, Brian. Smart play from San Diego just to take the tap. There's Tikasuva on the kick return. And that's a good turnover. You can see New Orleans a little bit slow to get back behind their player and support there.
Just a little disorganized at the breakdown, and a couple of things that I'm noticing about this NOLA attack. Sometimes when they get slow ball, they still are shipping the ball to the backs for their set moves, Dan. Sometimes when you get slow ball, it's better to just take another hit up with the forwards and try to eat another defender up out of that back line, and then quick ball to the backs.
The NOLA chant begins here in the stands. Just under 2 minutes remaining here in the first half.
Keep your eyes on Nguyen. He's coming into the back line. Looks like a set move here. Nguyen on the outside, and he uses as a dummy.
And it's Mattias on the overs line. Now the switch back for Boyer. Beautiful hands. Picks up Kearns. Kearns. He hits Mattias again with the ball. This is great stuff from the Legion. Now Nguyen. He can't get away from Howden. Yes, he can. Now he's down to the 5. Tackled eventually from New Orleans. They've got numbers either side here. It's really a pick for Boyer. Blair, he goes for a run to the left-hand side. Still numbers both sides. Quick ball needed. They keep it tight. Again, close to the line. Can they reach out? No. New Orleans, they hold true for the moment. There's a Legion. Now things have slowed down. Well, they had a big opportunity on this left-hand side if they could have moved the ball. They keep it tight, one more, very close to the line here. You can see referee Corbière right over leader inside. They've got to score. It'll be Nguyen. Can he get it down? Is he held up? No. Oh, desperation defense there. You can tell playoffs on the line and on the mind of New Orleans. They've done enough to hold it up.
Hard to believe that Nguyen didn't score that. Looked like he was dancing over the line. But it's held up by NOLA. Great break to start this sequence. And a lot of it had to do with Nguyen coming from his blindside wing, creating a different look. And you got to respect Nguyen, and it opens up the back line for Matthias to run through. But desperate defense by NOLA, and they prevent that try, and they had to. Another big scrum here from NOLA.
Boyer off the back to his left, finds leader, leader short, Saliba. He's got to score, Saliba. They won't stop the 6'5" Cal University try-scoring machine. And right on the stroke of half-time, that's a big swing for the Legion.
Little bit of go forward there from Saliba, and it's all he needs to lean across. 6'5". Impressive size for a center. The way he moves that body around, deceptively quick as well. Just finds a little seam to lean through and then uses that height to do the rest. There's Boyer, his old teammate, digging the ball out. Tag leader, what a game he's had so far, just controlling that back line. And again, it's Troxler who's assigned the duties of putting Saliba down.
And now leader will look to convert here to make it a 12-point game at the break. No mistake, the right boot rings true yet again. It's 22 points to 12. We'll take one last look at that try. And Brian, the work here from leader, look how he takes the ball to the line. Ball in two hands, keeps him guessing, gets Howden interested enough just to hold him up. The slide, not quick enough from Howden, then Saliba over the top. And that is a great try on the stroke of halftime too. We call those ones coach killers if you're on the defense.
Well, NOLA did well to hold up the would-be try from Nguyen, but San Diego, really this score is more reflective of the control they've had in the first half. 12 points over NOLA.
Well, someone who'll be happy with that is head coach Rob Holdley. He is with Stacey Pates down on the sideline.
Thank you very much, guys. When you look at that first half, the scrum's not looking so good until your last two scrums. How did you sort that out?
Yeah, I think we just wanted to get it in and out as quick as possible. When we do that and release it, you can see that we actually move the ball wide on halfway at the end there. And we're challenging the NOLA defence in a couple of different ways. Obviously, in tight, the line-out drive's done well. And now potentially we've got to look to get outside them as well.
Thank you so much, Coach, for stopping.
Cheers, Stacey.
All right, guys, back to you in the booth. It's going to be a great second 40 minutes of this one, isn't it?
It certainly is, Stacey. We can't wait. It's 22 points to 10 at the halftime break. 3 tries for the San Diego Legion, 1 for New Orleans. When we return from the break, we'll take a look at all the action from the first half. Here in Louisiana, New Orleans playing host to this Week 8 clash. It's NOLA Gold, San Diego Legion, playing it out for a spot in the playoffs.
Tackle by the Blue Jays. St. Paul looking to move it out wide. Good coverage by the Blue Jays. St. Paul skirts around the outside, and we have our first try of this sevens match. St. Paul's 5. Blue Jays 0. The conversion is a drop goal in sevens, but it is still worth 2 points. That conversion is no good. Unlike in 15s, the Today's scoring team will kick this ball off.
Yeah, check. This is Brian. Yep. And talkback's good.
Big run by the Blue Jays. Charles Lebrano with the fin and the diving try. Blue Jays 5, St. Paul's 5, hitting the conversion. Conversion, no good. Your score remains 5-5.
Welcome back to Shore Stadium, just outside New Orleans in Louisiana. It's halftime here, and San Diego, they're in the lead, 22 points to 10 over the home side. New Orleans goal, 4 tries in total in the first half, and it was New Orleans who got things started, Brian.
Indeed. There's the throw by Cam Falcon. And the first try, just a little bit of miscommunication on defense. Nick Boyer from San Diego comes up charging too hard, and then it finds the hands of Tim Maupin. It is one St. Mary's Gale to another, and Maupin goes over for the first try of the game. But then it's all San Diego. They played the entire first half inside the NOLA gold 50 meters. And this is Pat Blair. He's going to touch down after a really nice set by the forwards from San Diego.
You add in the boot of Tig Leader. He has a penalty. All the conversions as well.
Leader's been really impressive today, controlling the ball off his foot, putting pressure on the NOLA gold. And there is Connor Kearns, the steady hand at fullback, and finding Ryan Mattias. Mattias has had a blistering day for San Diego, and he dots one down there. Three-pointer off the boot of J.P. Eloff, just enough to get over the crossbar, so it's 10 points. That'll be all that NOLA can muster in the first half, but not all that Salber can muster. He goes over for another try. 6'5" frame, the center from the University of California. And at the break, 22 points to 10.
Well, the action continues tonight at 7:30. Stay tuned for some Arena Football League action as the first place Baltimore Brigade charge into Albany to take on the Empire right here on CBS Sports Network. We're going to go to break. When we return, the build-up to the second half continues. It's a 12-point ball game as the visiting San Diego over New Orleans at the break.
Has been a proud supporter of NOLA Gold, has organized the Finn McCool's bus, watch parties for away games. He's been seen with a makeshift band singing songs at halftime. He's even created songs for some of the Gold players. Let's give a warm round of applause for Benji Haswell.
If you come chasing like crazy on your own, and let's say you guys are on the line, come on the line, come one way, one of you come up like crazy. If you make a pass before he passes, if you make a pass, then look, you create that hole here. No, you went back around.
A tight one here in the high school.
Who's with him? Who's with him?
And welcome back to Shaw Stadium. It's still the halftime break here as the Legion lead 22 points to 10 over the home side, New Orleans. And this game became even more important when you look at the results from yesterday. The big one, Seattle beating Austin at home. It meant there's 2 spots available in the playoffs instead of 1. Austin
Indeed.
could have locked it up last night.
Yeah, Austin heartbreak, and now it's wide open. It looks like the teams that are going to claim those last 2 spots, Dan, are going to only have to play 500 ball on the season to get in, and Austin just kicking themselves. You take a look there, and the teams on the field today, NOLA Gold and San Diego. San Diego impressive, and you see them at 11 points, and if they get this victory, the 4-pointer plus the 1-point bonus for 4 tries, they would vault over the Utah Warriors. Still lots of rugby left to play, though.
Yeah, there certainly is, and we'll be looking at a very important game here. This second 40 minutes, probably the most important 40 minutes of the season for both these sides. And then when we return, we'll have the second half. But don't forget, next week a big one, Utah, New Orleans in Utah at 4 o'clock. When we return, though, the second half kicks off. It's Legion and New Orleans.
Over to Fan of the Year, Benji Haswell. Starting with our first song.
Because if you haven't heard me before, you know that I need all the help I can get. So the rumor was that the San Diego team brought 4 Eagles out here today. Apparently we're supposed to be intimidated. But I don't know if you realize, we've also got 4 Eagles on the field today. 4 Shaw Eagles. So, eat that, San Diego. Alright, so we're going to start it off with the state song, to the tune of You Are My Sunshine. Just change the words a little bit to You Are My Rugby. So if you'll give us a cue.
Welcome back. New Orleans, Louisiana players making their way back out on the field for the restart of the game here. There's your score, 22 points to 10. The visitors, San Diego, getting a try right on the stroke of halftime to bump them out to a 12-point lead. And Brian, for New Orleans, they'll play with a breeze at their back in the second half. Can you see them turning it around?
Well, I hope so, and they're going to play with the breeze. They're also going to need to play with a little bit more mojo. And I don't know what Nate Osborne said to him at halftime, but it's basically this. Guys, you got to go out and you got to have the half of your life, or you're not going to make the semifinals.
It is the biggest 40 minutes of the season for both these sides. 12-point ball game. It'll be New Orleans receiving. San Diego will kick off. One of their stars from the first half, Tyg Leader. He'll be critical in the second half. He had a strong breeze at his back and he used it to perfection with that right boot of his. He will kick into the wind here in the second half. And there he has, ball in hand. Referee Corbière. There is Tyg Leader. The Irish fly half. Had good fortune with Irish fly halves in the last few years. We got AJ McGinty as well here. And we are underway here, second half. There's New Orleans, strong under the restart. They feel this just short of their own 40-meter line. Youngett now comes to the middle. They keep it tight with the forwards. Now Howden back in his 22. Needs to keep it in the field of play. As it sits up for Kearns. Kearns. Lovely little touch off the right boot.
That is just an intelligent foot right there. The experience of Connor Kearns. A great kick, a really tight window to put that ball into, and he finds ball in play and then drifts into touch. And again, it's San Diego backing NOLA up in the early minutes of this second half.
They do take their line out through Joseph. And Elof moves it midfield. They keep it with the forwards. First with Falcon, that's Brennan. Now Elof again. Charged down by San Diego. They'll have this ball outside the 22 with Leader. As the Irishman jinks his way up. Evans with the dummy, beats the tackle. Evans for the corner, and the winger gets a try. Welcome back to the starting side for Evans.
San Diego Legion, 27.
Well, it's about desire when you tackle, and Evans moves really well. He's strong on his feet, and he breaks the tackle there, but it's just not good enough for NOLA today. They've not only missed some tackles, but they've been a little bit soft when they have made their tackles. And it all starts with that charge down kick. Leader finds Evans. Evans finds a soft shoulder. And then Evans finds the try zone. And you can see the disappointment on Cameron Troxler's face as well. He's just been having to work way too hard at that sweeper role, playing number 15.
Of course, Evans, one half of one of America's favorite rugby families, Kelsey Stockett. His partner as well with the USA Women's Sevens. I think she's doing some rehab out in San Diego now from a knee injury picked up earlier this season. You'd expect them to have some pretty strong pedigree coming through there, the next generation of USA Eagles for the men's and women's team. As Leader will look to convert this out on the 5-meter line. Just inside the 22. There you see his angle. And that one across the face, unsuccessful. First miss of the day for Leader, 27 points to 10. A great start out of the gate, so for the Legion in the second half.
If you're NOLA right now, you got to decide to play rugby in the San Diego half. It's just not good enough to sit back inside your own 22 and try to kick your way out. You got to get ball on the front foot. It starts with this Taylor Howden kickoff. In my opinion, you got to pin San Diego deep. I would put this ball down inside the 22 if I was Taylor.
There is that man, Taylor Howden. Showed his versatility by playing a little fly half in the absence of Elof, along with Rinikama, who's back on the bench. There's referee Corbier just getting some running repairs to his microphone. Howden just relaying the message to the troops. I think you're right, Brian. You've got to go deep. Use the elements to your favor here. San Diego, they did it to a treat in the first half. Always pinning New Orleans back in the 22, and he does just that. Down deep into the 22. Well fielded, though. There's Kearns. Drops it onto the right boot. And there's the big difference, Brian. In the first half, New Orleans couldn't clear off the restart. Connor Kearns up towards the halfway line. Takes a lot of pressure off the play in those train tracks either side of the halfway line.
But mission accomplished for Taylor Howden, because after the kickoff, they've got the ball inside the San Diego half.
It'll be Falcon with the throw-in. Well taken there, Sullivan. As they use them all. They've had some ascendancy at scrum, so not surprisingly using them all.
You can see Hubert Biden's leading at the front there, the big man, the Canadian from Saskatchewan, and now he gets his own carry. And if I'm NOLA, I try to get this ball into the hands of the forward, but they've turned it over, Dan.
Yeah, a cheap turnover too, Brian, that one. Really just gifting the ball back to the Legion. As Boyer's kick is fielded by Eloff. He's been working hard to create opportunities all afternoon. Now Falcon, Cam. He takes it up to the halfway line. Youngett at the back. Now Howden has the ball. Comes wide, Troxler. Mattias reads it to perfection. I've been pretty impressed with Ryan Mattias' performance today. It's always tough getting released from camp, not playing. You can hang your head, spit the dummy, but he's done the exact opposite and really put his hand up to Gary Gold for the rest of this tour. Howden's kick to Leader. Leader does well, keeps his toes in field. Little chip over the top. Eloff's there though. Bounce for Eloff, sits up perfectly. Eloff slices through.
Moment of brilliance there from Eloff, because things were going backwards for NOLA. They started at the 50-meter stripe. They were back at their own 10-meter line, and San Diego had the ball.
There's Howden's kick into the 22. The mark taken by Kearns. Now let's go down for an update on a player that I'm sure New Orleans wish they had. Stacey Pates is joined by Sebastian Calm.
Well, don't you worry, because he's still making his presence known in and amongst this team. First, I want to talk about, of course, we broke the news that he was having surgery on his neck for the fusion. Now I get to tell you or talk to you about how it went. Talk to us about how you're going.
Thankfully, it's been awesome since day one. I got to walk out the hospital and start working on my recovery right away. Obviously, due to the nature of the surgery, I just have to take it easy at first, but shortly in a few weeks I should be able to get back in my routine and slowly work my way back into getting me to game ready. So really looking forward to it and working hard.
That is unbelievable, and they expect you to have contact in about 2.5 months, which is awesome. I was watching you pretty closely during halftime, and you might be able to take this guy out of the game, but you can't keep him away from the game at all. You found a couple little kiddos that you were hanging out with, teaching them to love this game. Talk us through your halftime experience.
Yeah, I mean, they were just hanging around or on the field, and obviously they were all just honeypotting and chasing the balls. So I just told them a few things here and there, and obviously they're young, so they need to have fun as whatever way they find it around. You know, I just help them and just give them some water. That's pretty much it.
I love it. You have to keep people more and more interested in this game, and it starts with those little guys.
Awesome, without a doubt, yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Sebastian, and get back quick.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Stacey. Thank you, Sebastian. It'll be great to see him back in the field, Brian.
Yeah, and his brother Matthias has joined us up in the booth as well. Probably one of the biggest cheerleaders for his brother, a rugby player as well. Played at Lindenwood, just graduated in December. So hopefully some more rugby to come from the Collin brothers in the future.
Sounds like a 70s soft rock band, doesn't it? The Calm Brothers.
The Collin brothers. Something you'd hear in an elevator.
Yes.
The Collin brothers.
It'll be interesting to see next year as he comes back. Really enjoyed watching him play, Sebastian Calm. He was a real firebrand for them. His absence from his side has been noticed.
Well, what's not gone unnoticed is NOLA, and now playing with the ball inside the 22-meter line of San Diego. They need a lot more of this to occur.
You want to tell her the lenses are out, or should I?
It's a good look. I like the hat. Little Paddington Bear.
I do. I love the hat. Yeah, marmalade sandwich in the backpack, and she's ready to go. And here we go. NOLA ready to go. They need to. Down by 17 points. Time on the clock, though. They would love some points here. There's Youngett. He's at the back. Suva finds a looping Eloff. Howden spins through, needs support, finds it in Troxler. Troxler will get the try. That's what New Orleans wanted. They're back in this one, Brian.
Set piece move off of the original set. And you see Taylor Howden, and to me, he springs this whole thing wide open just by staying on his feet long enough to find Troxler. And we've been scrutinizing Troxler all day because he's had so much pressure. So great to see him get over the line. The wraparound there. And Mattias trying to get Howden to the ground. Good for Cameron Troxler, local product, LSU player, hometown.
Yeah, 6'1", 190, just 22 years of age, everything in front of him, Troxler. And like you said, they've targeted him, understandably. He's an unexperienced guy coming in here. That will be a shot in his arm. It could give him the confidence to kick on here as Eloff. No mistake with the conversion.
It not only a shot in the arm for Troxler's confidence, but 7 points to the better now for NOLA, and it's only a 10-point deficit that they're working from at this point. That was a huge try, and it keeps NOLA in the game. So they're not out of it yet, and certainly from that first couple minutes when San Diego crossed the line, you thought maybe it would be too much for NOLA, but they're right back in this fight.
Certainly are, Brian. Plenty of time, 30 minutes left on the clock. 10-point ball game, 2 more converted tries would get them the win in the bonus point. Just makes this all the more intriguing, the bonus point structure, how this works with the 4 tries. Leader, false start on the restart. Now we're away. Not surprisingly going deep as well. Well fielded by Malpin. And now Youngett comes across to his left. He'll continue to push that way with Falcon. Falcon, little tip on to his loose forward there, and brother in Brennan Falcon. Sure, that'll make Mrs. Falcon very happy to see the boys playing nicely together.
And lots of Falcons out here. Their father, Tim.
Howden. You can see the Legion have done their homework from the first half. Playing 3 back, not giving New Orleans a chance to hit the ground.
Well, nobody home there for NOLA. And they get lucky off the Nick Evans knock on there because that ball could have gone into the hands of Evans and it would have been danger for San Diego. But yeah, just a lucky break there. And we talked a little bit about the kicking game and how it was going in the favor of San Diego. That was a glaring mistake by NOLA, but it goes their favor. Lucky break.
Well, it's rocks and diamonds for Troxler, isn't it? The great try, the support, he's had a couple of good runs, but as a fullback, he's got to push forward and get underneath that ball and call Taylor Howden out of there. And again, just a little bit of inexperience. The speed of the game is the big difference he's probably noticing from college to professional. And every now and then, especially at fullback, it's a split-second decision that can hurt you, Brian. You played a lot of back 3 during your career. Once the levels go higher and higher, the decision-making time gets smaller and smaller.
And it's communication. You always want your fullback to be talking a lot, and you want him to be loud back there. And it looks like Troxler maybe not communicating in that particular kick. But I think NOLA's done a good job here getting the ball back towards their own 10-meter line.
Counter ruck comes in and it's clean. Away goes San Diego with Sylvia. As Boyer comes to his right, leader, little kick through. Nguenya on the chase, says open pastures. He just needs to bounce. Nguenya, he gets the bounce, and he'll bring it around under the post as well. That's a heartbreaker for New Orleans. The experience of leader and Nguenya, they combine for another 5 points.
Wow, and you know, the first half, we talked about tag leader's boot, not only kicking for points, but also just such a smart boot and putting NOLA under pressure. This kick is right on the money, and credit Nathan Sylvia for getting ball on the front foot, a few extra meters there. Boyer digs it out, and now the decision here. That's great communication as well. You can tell there's talk coming from the wing, Taku Nguenya. Well, that's a great try. Hard to defend.
Now to convert.
Just when NOLA was right back in it, the answer is loud from San Diego.
It's been quite a day for the number 10 Tig leader. He looks to continue that form here off the tee, converting a try that he set up. No mistakes at all, right through the middle, 34-17. And Brian, what impressed me, we talked about the try to Saliba. He takes the ball to the line, ball in two hands. This is a benefit. Look at Tikasuva, up out of the line. You see him right there on the right side of your screen. He makes a Paul Reed, leaves that back corridor wide open. Leader spots it, great fly half, great vision. Kicks it through. Kick is only as good as a chase, and there's no better chase in the game, as you've said already, Brian, than Taku Nguenya. He is all dedication when the kick goes through. And that is great play there.
Yeah, well spotted, Dan. And we saw that with Nick Boyer that set up the run from Holden Youngert in the first try of the first half. And Tikasuva probably coming off that wing for the kill shot, trying to read the pass from leader, but instead of passing, he goes off the foot, and there's nobody home to be in front of Taku Nguenya.
And for Legion fans, they do have a bonus point. That's their 5th try. They had one at 4. With the try to Evans. They'll look to walk away with a maximum 5 here. They can continue their form. New Orleans, though, plenty of time. 25 minutes left on the clock. Troxler. Saliba and Mattias look to hold him up midfield. Support comes. As now New Orleans continue to push forward with Van Klein. Elof. Low driving kick, finds the ground. Kearns, though, well, have a good luck picking player of the match here between Leader and Kearns. Both those two have been absolutely outstanding. If San Diego can hold on and win this game.
And just as you mentioned his name, Leader comes up and makes a huge tackle. I was just about to remark about the fitness of Ryan Mattias, who seems to be all over the place as well. And, you know, man for man, I think San Diego has just really had the desire little bit over this NOLA side, and certainly the fitness looks to be superior.
There's a little chip over the top from Maxini. Brought down with Kearns yet again. Another strong run there. I think that's the dirtiest fullback's jersey I've ever seen in a game of rugby. He's getting amongst it. He is Connor Kearns. Boyer, he'll kick, no winger at home. Troxler again, having to come across field here. And let's go down to Stacey. We're about to go to the line out. She has some more information on what most people find a little bizarre about rugby, the throwing the players in the air.
What, you don't have your thighs taped right now, Dan? Come on, let's talk about that. Well, when you see some of these players with tape wrapped around their thighs, it has a major purpose. The lifters are the ones that put the jumper at the highest point. The jumpers need to keep their bodies rigid. They have to relax their chest so they can get up high in the air. Now, what the tape does is that it gives them a makeshift handle so they can achieve the maximum elevation. Now, of course, you can imagine the taller and lighter weight the jumpers are, the more advantage that the lifters have as well, and we're going to see that happen right now.
Well, you promised you wouldn't say anything about me taping my thighs, Stacey. I'm very disappointed. But it's such a big part of the game, the set piece, the line out, such an important attacking weapon.
Yeah, and the tape actually is covering a little foam roll that then becomes that handle. So they're actually grabbing on to that taped up foam roll and then elevating the players from that lift. There's a good look at the rolls right there. And the target for San Diego so far today has mostly been Chris Terori. And there he goes again. Nope, check that. Yeah, it was Terori.
Now looking to maul. Still plenty of time, Brian. I don't want to say the nail in the coffin, but they could certainly be sharpening the tip if they can get another try here, San Diego. 23 minutes left on the clock. A penalty, though, while in possession, not releasing. And that door of opportunity just cracks open again for New Orleans.
Well, you know, if you're San Diego and you're a fan of San Diego and you're watching this game, you got to be inspired by the play of the Legion right now. They're without what you could call their A side, their best players. You know, they've been called up, as we mentioned, for Eagles duty. Even JP Duplessis, who was in the centers for them, not available today. But they have been playing excellent rugby. And one of the things that I've noticed, Dan, is the speed of the ball at the base of the ruck. San Diego has been playing with a lot faster ball from the base, and they've been able to slow the ball down from NOLA the entire time.
Yeah, a lot of credit has to go to young Nick Boyer. Another one of these cow products that litter the San Diego roster. He's definitely thrown his hand up.
You got to love it, too. I mean, what you want as a coach is to have that selection headache. A couple games from now, when everybody's back together, a lot of these guys have put their hand up for the starting 23.
Howden comes wide. Alpin jinking run back to Howden. Howden gets through Mattias. Macassini. Midfield. Parry has joined the gold. By the way, off the New York Athletic Club and the Rugby United. Jimmy Kennedy, John Layfield's team up there. Quite bizarre, they put their roster together and then very generously too. I mean, it must have been difficult for both those guys as owners. And they run Rugby New York as Parry goes for another run to let their players come out. There's no guarantees in rugby, is there? A serious injury or something like that. It's just part of the game, but I understand the guys don't want to sit on the shelf for a year and they've let them come out, but that would be better for the experience next year.
Indeed. You saw a few of them yesterday suiting up for Austin Elite. They seem to have kind of scattered across the 7 teams of the Major League. Well, better sign here from NOLA, and you wonder if it's too little too late.
They are definitely lifting the tempo here, Brian, as Elof goes for a run down that far side.
Again, slow ball coming out the base, and just keep watching. You can count from the base. Counter ruck there.
And they go quickly. Macassini, the offload, Elof. Oh, they'll get a good reception for that. A warm welcome back for the NOLA Gold fans. And JP Elof, well, they're back in. It's a 12-point ball game with a kick to come.
And they could draw it within 10 if the conversion's good. 20 minutes, plenty of rugby left here in New Orleans. But NOLA needs more of this. up-tempo, a little bit of desperation might help them. You see Makasini and the offload there. Elof, he's played 60. He might have to go 80 minutes today.
We've got Rinikama on the bench who replaced him while he was out. But they are down. They need to fight back here. And a lot will fall on that man's shoulders. JP Elof, he gets the try. 34-22, 12-point ball game. He'll try to convert his own try here, Elof. As we enter the final 20 minutes. And what a final 20 minutes it's going to be. Just when you think New Orleans, they're dead and buried. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Walking Dead that's come straight back out of the earth. Well, that's a big miss from Elof. No good. We're going to step away for a short break. When we return, the conclusion to the second half. It's New Orleans, San Diego competing to the end after this.
This summer, July 9th, will be the start of NOLA Gold's High School and Junior Rugby Academy. Captain Taylor Houghton from New Zealand is the Academy Director. To learn more, head over to NOLAGoldRugby.com or email Taylor at taylor@NOLAGoldRugby.com. Again, for more information on NOLA Gold's High School and Junior Rugby Academy coming up, head over to NOLAGoldRugby.com or email Taylor@NOLAGoldRugby.com. And we'd also like to thank our sponsors, Outback Barataria, official after-match meal provider of NOLA Gold. Visit Joey at Outback after the game. Show your tickets.
And welcome back to Shaw Stadium. It's the final 20 minutes here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Both these sides look to continue their push for a chance at the Major League Rugby Championship Series kicking off June 30th in Glendale, Colorado. The top four sides will be there. We know Seattle, we know Glendale. The final two spots, they're still up for grabs. Both these sides in contention. And Taylor Houghton, he'll want to be there back at his old home field, Infinity Park.
Indeed. Well, he's got a lot of home fields. Originally, he started in Houston, made his way to Aspen, my hometown, for a stretch, a great little summer break there, and then a couple years in Colorado, Denver, Glendale. He's kind of seen it all. Kind of an Iron Man of rugby here in the United States, and a gifted player.
He's played more Cubs than Johnny Cash, as Taylor Houghton, and continues that here at New Orleans. Certainly, talking to him, seems like he's found a home here down in the South in New Orleans.
Well, Dan, we were talking during that little break that it has to be NOLA to score next. And if they give up another score to San Diego, as they did the last time they scored a try, then it might be too much for them. But 12 points down, a huge conversion missed by Elof, because that would have been a penalty kick and a converted try to even the scores. Now they got to score 2 tries to get back in this thing.
Of course, they're 1 try away from a bonus point themselves. We haven't really talked about the equation of a draw. We haven't seen one in Major League Rugby yet.
And there's no panic. There's not a rush. They've got almost 20 minutes left. You can keep playing your game plan, which for me is get the ball into the San Diego half and play with it down there.
That kick from Elof deflected again as they continue pressure. Mistake though from Evans. That one spills forward. Referee Corbier agrees. And it's funny the effect that pressure has on teams. San Diego very comfortable now. They just feel like a running race. You hear the footsteps. It's starting to creep up on you again. You can do funny things to you.
Indeed, interesting turn of events there, because it looked like the kick was partially charged down once again from the foot of Elof, but then it's bobbled by Nick Evans, so it comes back, and really the net positive for NOLA when it looked like it could have gone into San Diego hands.
There you see the conditions stifling, as you'd expect. June in the South in New Orleans.
Indeed. Hard to keep those binds, hard to hold the ball, especially as the fatigue sets in.
Cassini at the back, under pressure from Boyer.
And Dan, suddenly San Diego scrum looks like it's taking control of itself. Sione Tuialamaka has come in wearing the number 17 jersey, really kind of shores it up with that big body, 270 pounds. Not bad.
And Falcon, Cassini, Howden.
Yellow, don't move.
Kick. Not great distance, but it finds the ground. Kearns returns fire into the 22, and Connor Kearns. Well, when you have big moments, it needs big players. Connor Kearns, he stepped up to the plate numerous times this afternoon.
But you know, not only the kick and the, you know, finding that little window, but also a little bit of English on it to get it to curve into touch as well. A brilliant boot from Kearns.
Well, we talked about the conditions. Stacey, how is it down there?
Well, it's a lot tougher down here than you guys all comfortable in air conditioning in the booth. I almost had to take a knee a couple of times. It's 89 degrees, but it feels like 102 with 60% humidity. If you pay close attention to both sides, you'll notice they wipe their arms a lot. Of course, because of the sweat, the ball will get wiped constantly because of the wetness there. It's important to keep the body as dry as they can, even though that's a huge challenge in these conditions because of times like this. In the scrum, they have to have they have to have the power to push.
And of course, gloves, not legal. Sorry, you can have fingerless gloves, but what you see in the NFL, not allowed in rugby. So again, just adds one more tangent into the toughness, the durability, and the skills of these players.
Set.
Oh yeah, feeds this one on the 22.
Zit. Yeah.
Macassini does well there, puts pressure at the back of the scrum. They'll get the penalty, and now this is a big penalty here. A possible 3 points for leader. Would take them out to 15. Beyond 2 converted tries, which could be safe enough to see them home as we take a look at the replay. Big scrum, and the Legion certainly have short up their scrum.
Yeah, indeed. Although it looked like the Legion were going backwards in that occasion, and it's a juicy ball there for Dupre, the substitute who's come in for NOLA, but he can't play it because he's not on his feet, and he gives away a penalty, crucial penalty. I don't know why Tag Leader didn't just tee that ball up and try to put 3 points over to stretch the lead to 15.
We can see the assistant referee's flag there. Not really a strong breeze. It has died off quite a bit. Must be enough just to worry the fly half. As Covey has this throw for the Legion. They bring it down, unsurprisingly they go back to the maul. Blair scored in this exact situation in the first half. They go again, they're very close here, the Legion. Very, very close indeed. They spin around, they're over, there's the try, it's Sylvia. And the big front rower, he gets plenty of pats on the back for that effort.
Credit to Sylvia. We talked about him a little bit today. He's quietly had a really strong game, Dan. A lot of great breaks, a lot of great defensive sets. Sure in the tackle. He's done his job in the front row. It hasn't always been pretty at scrum time. And this might be the reason why Leader goes to the corner, is to maybe acknowledge the forwards and the work they've done, give them a chance to cross the line. They do there, and it's a great moment for young Sylvia.
That's a smart fly half play, much like a quarterback takes his offensive line out to dinner at the start of the year and buys them nice Christmas presents. That's the insurance on protecting your well-being. Leader, step ahead yet again.
I hope he takes him out to dinner. A lot of great steak joints here in New Orleans. I wasn't sure about the call between a muffaletta, you know, and a po' boy. Wasn't sure which way to go. Ended up eating some snails last night.
Ooh, fried?
No.
Escargot.
Escargot.
Straight
Brilliant.
Good for you.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Lots to enjoy down here in New Orleans.
Something tells me the menu at a Drew Brees paid-for dinner might be a little bit different to Tig Leader's one.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, both players immensely important to their teams. Leader will look to kick this one from the sideline. And no good. Maybe the wind is a little stronger down there than it appears. 39-22, 17-point ball game. 12 minutes left on the clock. No one left so far. The loyal New Orleans fans still here, hoping their team can mount a comeback.
And Ratu Patheli Rinakama in for Taylor Howden. So the old man takes a seat and a bow. There is Rinakama.
He gets his kick just short of the 22. They let it bounce. Evans, he cleans up the scraps. Takes it outside of his 22. They come midfield, Covey. Touch for the replacement forward.
And we mentioned, Dan, that NOLA, in our estimation, had to be the next team to score. They weren't. And either it's the dagger from the try from Sylvia, or tries for NOLA are going to have to come in bunches and quickly.
I take it.
And
Leon,
Macassini, after the high tackle from Mitchell, takes the quick tap. There's Evans still down in back play, getting some treatment. San Diego will be down to 14. Dongawia, he tries to go straight through the middle. Rinikama, his first touch, a regrettable one as he spills it forward. And Nguenya, he's tackled back on his 22. They'll take the lack of advantage and come back for the scrum. You can see Mitchell coming off the bench. This is the tackle that was penalised. The big man just getting his melon in the wrong place there.
Oh yeah, and it's the arm that slips up to the top there. Mitchell had a chance to talk to Chris Cracknell, the assistant coach for San Diego. He was talking about the growth of Aaron Mitchell as a prop and really getting the technique, and how he comes in and he's got all the right tools to do a few of the skills well, like push piles around and drive forward, but it's some of those skills as a prop and his footwork in particular that he said that they've been highlighting, and he's really come along quickly. A good look at Aaron Mitchell. Still trying out for the Detroit Lions, by the way, and he's probably going to be one of the fittest linemen for the Lions when they get back to camp later on this summer. Who knows?
So he's going to training camp.
Indeed, and not the only offensive lineman on the field. Well, he is now, because Hubert Bidens actually was drafted in the 6th round of the Canadian Football League, but he was asked to gain a bunch of weight, wanted him to be over 300 pounds, and he said, you know what, I like 270 and I like rugby, and he didn't end up playing for the BC Lions in the CFL. It would have been great to see those two up against each other.
More of a Rough Riders guy myself, Brian.
Not an Alouette?
No. Do love Montreal, though. If anyone up there wants to get a Major League Rugby side, Brian and I would love to come up.
Indeed. Back on Peel Street once again.
There's Boyer.
Play on.
This is going to be a very interesting finish here for San Diego. This youthful exuberance they have in the roster this week. They may want to just keep playing.
Penalty.
They have a penalty advantage as Gaffney goes up towards the 40-metre line. Boyer now. Little scoot to his right. It's like Perry on the field as well. No advantage. They'll have the penalty outside the 40. And you would expect Leader just to drive this into the 22 off New Orleans. They will take their time though. Under 10 minutes left to play, Brian. And, you know, both these sides came into this contest knowing what was on the line. San Diego just appeared to be a little bit more polished today in their performance.
Well, and when we talked about this game and forecasting it in the beginning, and we would have picked NOLA, and I think I did pick NOLA because of the strength of their pack and the fact that there were so many missing bodies on this San Diego team. But I got to eat my words because San Diego's really played up-tempo. They've been confident
in slick conditions with this kind of humidity. They've done well with ball in hand. They haven't had a whole lot of knock-ons, and they haven't given the ball back to that powerful scrum of NOLA. And then come scrum time, they've actually held their own. So impressed with the youngsters and what Rob Hoadley's done with this San Diego team. And when they get the full complement back, they're going to be dangerous. This is the only team that's only played 5 games in the MLR so far. This is only their 6th. They got 2 more to go after this.
Don't move, Yellow, don't move. Line.
This victory plus the bonus point, I think, puts them in a pretty good position to claim one of those championship spots on the 30th.
And they do have back-to-back games at home as well, Brian, which is very helpful. So they look to close things out here with another 5-pointer. They have the advantage, keeping it tight. You talked about the reward for the forwards. They don't seem to relinquishing possession here to the outside backs. It's been a tireless effort. Not only 1 through 8, but also the substitutions when they've come on have done their part as well. Very impressed with this performance from the Legion today. Especially, as you said, foreshadowing all those changes. I think there was 9 changes since the last time we've seen them as a CBS Game of the Week. 9 changes, which is just unbelievable.
Yes, no, he was offside. Yes, he was on the top. I told him when the white team is inside the 23, your team make fault every time. So I give him a 1. So just
Well, just to add a little salt to the wound, Brian, yellow card for Nikola Bursic as well.
was at 1 meter of you. Wait, wait.
And they will finish this game. Anthony, is it Anthony Perry? Oh, there's Bursic in there. Not a good New York athletic boy. We don't get yellow cards.
Time on. Line. Hey, Pep, wait. Line. When you kick the ball, it's good. Okay. Yes? Yes. Hey, oh. Good. You kick the ball. Yeah. Hey.
I think some translation issues down there on the field with Corbier and tag leader. Does Irish translate into French?
Well, we're not too far down the road. I'm having flashbacks to Talladega Nights with Jean Girard and Ricky Bobby. We're a little lost in translation.
Indeed. So, well, they go for the line out. A lot of confidence there. We've seen Torori as the #1 target in the line out, and they look comfortable in the driving maul. We saw Sylvia with the last try. You wonder what the option's going to be here. Taku Nguyen could not be any further away from that line out. He's standing on the far touchline.
So they need to win the line out. They've failed to do that. As New Orleans get the steal at the back. Ball comes down. Dongawea takes a crash. Runikama loops around. They've got some numbers. He can get quick ball. He does. Oh, the pressure from Nguyen. Taku Nguyen, outstanding. Deemed offside, though. I thought he was up very, very quick, and that is exactly why he was offside, according to referee Corbier. And now Runikama will have this penalty. Urgency for NOLA. They chase a bonus point. They need 1 more try to get a 4-try bonus point. And who knows what can happen next week as they close out their season in Utah. Next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, it'll be the CBS Game of the Week. The Warriors return to action after having the bye this week.
Falcon with the ball in hand, and great to see 5 local players for this NOLA team from Louisiana, and the same could be said about San Diego. And I love the way that MLR has been taking players from their own local rugby communities and putting them on their sides. As mentioned, 5 LSU, Louisiana products here. You also, on the starting 15, 9 California rugby players for the San Diego Legion as well. So some good rugby coming out of
I'm not sure
the state of California.
I'm not sure it's physically possible, but maybe Jack Clark might smile just a little bit to see his ex-players.
Well, certainly with 4 starters from Cal.
There's now New Orleans. They're chasing that 4th try. Tikawasuva. He goes up to the 40-meter line of San Diego. Not releasing. And the Legion It has certainly been their afternoon here at Shaw Stadium. An outstanding performance from them.
Well, a little bit of space behind Connor Kearns there, and you think that Tikwe Suva might have chosen the chip over the head of Kearns. Instead, he decides to run right into the man instead, and then the penalty ensues. Now Kearns with the honors and into touch.
And you can see San Diego in no rush to get to the line out here, Brian, just trying to take all the seconds off the clock possible.
And as mentioned, San Diego's going to vault themselves into that top 4 in the MLR, but certainly it doesn't cement their place there.
No, that's your player.
Oh, not at all. Still plenty to do for San Diego to lock up the semi-final spot as Boyer. Good weight on that kick. Just splits the difference between Makasini.
I take it. Advantage.
Dicko Suva there. He gets through, bounces off some tackles. They let him go. I think San Diego may have thought he had passed there, Joeli. As we come back for the high shot.
High tackle.
Just 3 minutes left to play. We'll have to get the calculator out and start crunching some numbers on what the bonus point for New Orleans would do, how that keeps them in touch.
That's cramp. I have to play.
It's going to be so exciting. As we take a look at the replay, here's the high shot. Just that's Joeli just bouncing away from tackles there.
Yeah, I think that's the one there on Salibert, just drifting high.
But how about that last week, Brian, with teams like New Orleans sitting at home? Well, Austin as well, and they're just going to have to watch the results play out and see if they're in or not.
Yeah, and a team like Austin, who finds themselves there now, and they're going to find themselves outside looking in if they don't win their last game.
No, you don't kick. Not at least.
And they're headed to San Diego. So another side
stops the game
with the desperation as well. Everything on the line. Pretty much it's championship rugby from now on out for a lot of these sides. You have to keep winning or you're out. So it's sudden death for most of them.
And I have a feeling that those last, we mentioned Glendale and Seattle locking up the top 2 spots, Dan, but those 3rd and 4th spots, they're going to rotate throughout the next few weeks. We're going to see San Diego claim one of them. Austin's there right now, and it'll be Austin and San Diego after this week, but that could all blow up next week.
Time off.
Sullivan getting some treatment there for New Orleans. Seems to have made a full recovery. And, you know, I've got to tip my hat to some of these players as we see Matt Houston barking orders, playing 80 minutes in these conditions, especially in the forwards, 1 through 8. Outstanding performance.
Time on.
You know, it was a popular subject during the week. A golf reporter,
come on.
some absolute palooka, said that give me 12 months, JJ Watt, Urban Meyer, I think he said Leonard Fournette, a couple other guys from the NFL, and he goes, I'll win the World Cup. And let me say, he got quite an interesting response on social media.
Well, let's just say it might take more than a year.
Line.
I mean, we've seen the success of Paul Lasike, who was in the NFL, but people forget he had a pretty good rugby foundation coming into it.
Yep, it was his second sport was football, so. Yeah, you know, the truth of the matter is if you did open up the vault of American athletes and train them as rugby players, then you'd have a bit of an argument. As it stands right now, you could make the case that rugby players or the rugby organizations, NCAA, the college ranks, they're not necessarily getting those blue-blooded athletic bodies that football is getting or basketball is getting. So, yeah, you never know what would happen if you open the floodgates and all the athletes went in. It certainly would take more than a year, and I'm not sure Urban Meyer's the guy to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that one came from. That was an interesting one. I mean, I don't want JJ Watt now. I want JJ Watt when he's 5.
Right. Yeah. Well,
actually,
I'm not sure.
I'll take him now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure I want JJ Watt running at me right now either.
let's just get him on board. He's a big fan. I know he's tuning in. Big Sabercats fan, JJ White.
Good though. Good for the debate. You love seeing people chime in and get really upset about it.
There's leader.
No heads, yellow.
Asking the question of Corbière, where is full time as we are past the 80-minute mark on the clock? The referee controls full time though. We await his whistle. Leader, he gets the nod. Over the sideline it goes, and the Legion, well, the defibrillator has sprung them back to life here as they run out convincing winners. 39 points to 22. A dominant performance on the road from them. And they were outstanding on their way to victory. When we return, we'll go down to the field for our player of the match coming up right after the break.
From NOLA Gold's General Manager, Ryan Fitzgerald. Fans, please listen and give your attention to our General Manager, Ryan Fitzgerald.
To Utah. After that, we'll see what happens. But either way, without a doubt, we'll be back here in the fall in January. Need your support going after it in year 2. Thank you so much for all the help and all support. Cheers.
Again, fans, thank you for attending today's Military Appreciation Game. Please stick around, meet some of the players, listen to the band, buy some NOLA Gold merchandise. We want to thank our sponsors, Outback Barataria, the official after-match meal provider of NOLA Gold. Visit Joey at Outback Barataria. Don't forget, please remember, after the game, bring your NOLA Gold ticket to Outback Barataria for a free bloomin' onion. Outback, no rules, just right. We also would like to thank NOLA Media Group. Our sponsor, NOLA.com, the Times-Picayune, Louisiana's largest news organization, and New Orleans' source for news, sports, and entertainment. For the last time of our inaugural home games, we'd like to thank our sponsors, West Jeff Hospital, LCMC Sports Medicine, Gulf Coast Bank, NOLA LED.
Major League Rugby on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Sharp Business Systems. Transfer the day-to-day management of your network and print operations over to us. By Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Proud partner of Major League Rugby's San Diego Legion. And by IHOP. the best way to do breakfast all day.
And welcome back to Shaw Stadium, where the Legion have run out convincing winners, and no surprise, it was this man on your screen, Tig Leader, who got it done. His educated right boot steering the Legion to a win today. That one to Nguyen. Also from the tee, he was absolute laser-like with his boot, slotting ball after ball through the pace. He is our player of the match, and he is with Stacey Pates right now.
He's not just a leader by name, he's a leader out on the pitch as well. First of all, we have to talk about 7 new players. They were trying to get integrated all week long for this match, a pivotal match. How did you do that? And there were so many things that went well today.
Yeah, we really just went back to basics, because the fact we only had maybe 6 training sessions to integrate those boys, we knew things couldn't be complicated, so we just stripped it back to basics, and just the willingness to work for each other. We did a lot of kind of team bonding stuff off the field, which really, I think, paid dividends today. So yeah, we're absolutely thrilled.
And very important bonus points with the final today. Describe how that helps you, because on any given day in this league right now, things change.
Yeah, it's massively competitive. I think Glendale and Seattle, I think maybe they've kind of booked their place in the playoffs, but the rest of us are chasing so for those final 2 spots. So to come away with a bonus point, yeah, we're ecstatic. That was never discussed during the week. We just want to come down here and do ourselves justice after a pretty rough day in Austin 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we're very proud of our performance and keen to go again next week.
I appreciate your time. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Oh, outstanding performance there from Tig Leader and the entire San Diego Legion side. We'll catch you next week on CBS Sports, 4 o'clock Eastern kickoff. It's Utah Warriors taking on the NOLA Gold. For Brian Hightower, Stacey Pates and our entire crew, I'm Dan Power. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.